let's talk about some knitting and some new yarn, y'all. Hello everyone, Rochelle here, and I'm back to share some yarn goodness with you all today. Okay, so let's talk about this beautiful shawl that I just finished. It is the Age of Brass and Steam shawl, and it is designed by Orange Flower Yarn. So, oh, and I will leave a link in the description box about everything that I talk about today. Okay, so this shawl pattern is free and it calls for DK weight yarn. And so the yarn that I used is hand spun untreated wool. It is Rambouillet, 100% Rambouillet, and it is stunning. And so the cool thing about this yarn is that I use two skeins, and one of the skeins was like a brown and beige, and then the other skein was a beige and brown. So they were the inverse of each other, and it is stunning. It really is. And so I bought this yarn a few years ago at a fiber festival. I was vending at the Peace Hill Fiber Festival, and I went to the booth at the Pomegranate Farm, and they were selling this, and it was stunning. And to be a non-superwash untreated wool, it is extremely soft. Now, the only downside about this yarn, and I guess I shouldn't say it's a downside, it just comes with the territory of untreated yarn, is that there was a ton of vegetable matter in this yarn. There were little sticks and there was hay, and yeah, it was, you know, it was untreated yarn. I mean, when yarn literally comes from the farm, and it's spun and it's sold. There's no treatment to it. And yeah, and so these colors are actually the natural colors of the Rambouillet sheep. So that's really cool. So every now and then I have to pick out a little hay and stuff like that. But yeah, it comes with the territory. Okay, so this pattern, it comes in two sizes. So you get your kerchief size and you get your shawl size. And I am interested in knitting the kerchief size, but I had enough yarn for the shawl size. So I made that. And what's interesting is like I used to knit, crochet a lot of shawls back in the day, but I don't know, I got away from shawl knitting for whatever reason. I think it was because I really got into cowls. And so let me know, are you a person that wears shawls, whether it's knitted, crochet, whatever, weave? Let me know if you like to wear shawls and if you like to make shawls. But yeah, so this, of course, is the shawl size. And basically the difference is, so with the kerchief size, you have 3 repeats. But with the shawl size, you have 4 repeats of the stockinette and the lace sections. So I'll do a better overlay of this a little bit later, but as you can see, there's 4 sections. I pretty much just alternated between dark and light colors. And I love the way that they came in together. And so, yeah, I normally don't knit with beige or brown color yarn, but it was nice to step outside of my comfort zone. And yeah, it's stunning. So for this shawl, I did use a US 8, which is a 5mm knitting needle. And I used a 14-inch cable. Is that right? 14-inch? Maybe I did use a 14-inch, but either way, whether it was 14 inches or a 22-inch cable, the thing is like my project was so scrunched on the knitting needles that I couldn't tell what this shawl was going to look like. And so when I took this shawl off of the knitting needles, it was just such a serotonin boost because I was like, wow, I have made a really big shawl. And I really wasn't expecting it to be that big. And of course, I didn't swatch. It's a shawl. I really won't, like, unless I'm going to test knit a shawl, then I'm really not going to do a gauge swatch. So I didn't do that. So if you are interested in making this shawl, there are a few techniques or skills that you will need to know. Of course, you'll need to know how to knit and purl, and also you'll need to know how to knit front and back and do yarn overs. And if you do the garter tab, you will need to know how to pick up stitches. So that's really important there. Okay, so a little bit of a note. All right, so when it came time to bind off, because there were a ton of stitches to bind off, I wanted to make sure that the bind off wasn't going to be super tight. So I went up a needle. I don't know why I say that. I went up a knitting needle size, and I went up to a US 9, which is I believe that's a 5 millimeter knitting. I said it again, knitting needle. And of course that gave me a nice and stretchy bind off. So I'm really, really excited about the bind off because there were 289 stitches to bind off on this shawl, and I wanted to get it right the first time. I did not want to have to fraud back or anything like that. And I did. I'm really happy with the results. And so, yeah. All right. I'm looking over here and I'm trying to see that I leave any vegetable matter. I think I got it all off. I'll share the blocking experience with you all as well. Aha, I did find a piece. There's a little piece right there. It's hard to get all of it out, but that's the way it goes. So anyway, I did wet block this shawl, and I soaked it in water, and then I towel dried it, and then I pinned it to my blocking mat, and I air dried it. And blocking really helped open up those eyelet and lace details, and it also helped with the garter tab at the bottom. It really helped make like a nice point. And yeah, it really opened up the edging on the shawl. So I really, really appreciated that. And yeah, so that was wonderful. Now, I did take a few measurements before and after blocking, and I will share those with you all. So before blocking, my shawl was 54 inches by 36 inches. And in centimeters, that is 137 centimeters by 91 centimeters. And so after blocking, my shawl was 71 inches or 180 centimeters by 45.5 inches or 115.5 centimeters. So I gained a lot of length after blocking. Even just in terms of length, I gained about 17 inches, which is crazy, and I love it. So really happy about that. The pattern is super, super easy to follow. I think the only thing is you have to keep up with your yarn overs. Looking at it now, I definitely feel like I may have missed a few yarn overs, or either I didn't do the yarn overs correctly, because in this pattern, you have your knits and your purls. But when you get ready to do a yarn over, then do a purl, you have to yarn over twice. And so it looks like you're creating 2 stitches, but you're only creating 1. So when you're going from a knit stitch to a purl stitch on the edge here, in order to make that eyelet, you have to purl twice. You have to yarn over twice. And so that was something that I had to keep in mind. But overall it looks really good. And also with the shawl, at the beginning of the pattern, you do have an option. You either have the option to start with a regular cast on or a garter tab cast on. And I decided to go with the garter tab cast on because I really wanted a nice point. And that's what I got. And so the garter stitch tab, it isn't difficult. It just requires you to pick up stitches along the edge of the tab. So that's really the only thing. But yeah, really easy to do. And of course, there's a YouTube channel or video for everything out there. And what's so interesting, I mentioned before, like these really aren't my colors. And so because of that, sometimes I lost steam on this project. But what's crazy is it only took me 19 days to finish the shawl, and it seemed like a lot longer. But yeah, it was just 19 days because I went back and I looked at my Ravelry start date and then my end date, and it was only 19 days. So, but it was totally worth it. And yeah, I mean, it's fantastic and it feels so good. I've put it around my neck and I don't really feel that much of a prickle. Like, it's actually really soft, really soft. I don't really feel any agitation or anything like that. And so, I'm happy about that because my skin can be very sensitive sometimes, but I'm so glad that this worked out really well. And sometimes, like when you're knitting or crocheting something, you can tell just from the feel of the yarn, like, this might be too scratchy, this might not work out for me. And then like there's other times where you finish the project and you realize like, this might be a little bit scratchy for me, but not with this pattern. It was nice and wonderful to knit with the entire time. And yeah, I just absolutely love wearing this shawl. Let's talk about what I'm wearing. I should probably take this shawl off. And another thing that I didn't mention before is because it's hand spun, it does have a lot of thick and thin spots in it. And so, there were times where it seemed like it was fingering weight, but then there were other times it was like it was Aran weight. And I used all of the light color yarn, and I had this much left of the darker color yarn. But anyway, so let's talk about what I'm wearing. This is the Match cardigan, and it is designed by Kadri. This cardigan feels absolutely amazing, and I love my buttons. Yay. I do feel like I might have to go in and tighten up my buttonholes because sometimes they do kind of pop open. But I made an entire video about the Match cardigan, and if you have not seen that video, here is a preview. All right. It can't all be good, y'all. It can't all be good. Let's talk about this yarn. Oh, that's another thing. The great thing about this pattern is that there's a ton of YouTube tutorials that come along with the pattern, and I definitely need it because I had never heard of a knitted bind off in the back loop only, and it was really cool. And I was like, oh no, I've ruined it. I've worked so hard, I ruined it. Learn something new every day, right? I learned a new knitting size, so that was cool. Cardigans are sweaters. They are a type of sweater. Today is a beautiful fall day, and my local farm is having a fall festival. So let's go outside and see what we can find. Hello, hello. I am at the farmers market. They're having like a fall festival today, and so I'm excited to go see some pumpkins and some mums, and then I'm going to go check out some of the vegetables and fruits that they have in season. I'm really excited about it, and of course I brought a project. I really shouldn't even say spoiler warning at this point because, yeah, the MCAL is so far along. I am still on clue 1. So here's one of my little half triangles. But anyway, I am excited to take you all along with me. And yeah, so I'll take you all along and show you what I get up to. A lot of fun. I got everything that I wanted, and so I'm just going to show you all what I picked up while I was out here. Okay, so I got some kettle corn, sweet and salty, delicious. I got some sweet corn because I love sweet corn on the grill. The yarn husband will grill this up for me. And also, without spilling it, I got a whole bunch of scuppernons. I love scuppernons. My husband likes the muscadines, the red ones, the purplish ones, but I love these scuppernons. So I'm really excited about that. And then this last thing I'm not excited about. Actually, it's not the last thing. I'm just going to show you this. My husband requested that I get him some eggnog. But this stuff is... Ugh. Do you like eggnog? Let me know if you like eggnog. It's not my thing. But anyway, he requested this, and it's a lot. It's a whole quart of eggnog. So let me know if you all like eggnog. I would really like to know. And last but certainly not least, okay, so of course I am always looking for a project bag. Look what I found. Look what I got. It's Grogu, Baby Yoda, Din Grogu. Look at that. And the lady was so nice, and she sewed this herself. And it has like these really deep pockets. It has a super long strap, and it's just the cutest thing. And the fabric on the inside is amazing. And it's got pockets in it. I'm just going to turn it inside out actually. And typically I don't go for bags that aren't zippered, but this one I couldn't pass it up. So look on the inside. Let me show it over here. on the inside, and there's a pocket there. Love that. And then she gave me some freebies. Let's see, which bag did I put? Oh, yes. So we had such a great conversation. It turned out that, let's see, where's the other one? It turned out that she knows someone who knits and crochets as well. And why is it that when I don't have a business card with me, people ask me for a business card? Like, I haven't dyed yarn in 2 years, and I have got to get in a better practice of keeping business cards on me. But anyway, she wrote down my Instagram handle, so she'll be able to find me. But because we had such a great conversation, she gave me some freebies. And so she makes buttons. Put those up to the camera. But we have Catwoman and we have the Avengers, like the original Avengers. And she also had a Doctor Who bag with like vintage Exterminate fabric on it. I almost got it, but I liked the length of the strap better on the Grogu bag. And then also she gave me this here. So this is a little, I guess you could call it like a little koozie. I don't really know what to call it, but basically you can do so many things with it. It's Star Wars, of course, and you can do all sorts of things with it. She told me, she was like, you could put some stitch markers in here if you wanted to. Also, I told her that I have a lot of like fabric left over, and so in here she has like little scraps of fabric. So, you know, if you're working on a project and you have like yarn scraps left over, you can just put them in here. But then that made me think about something. I could make a pin cushion with this, stuff it with all of my leftover yarn, and just finish off the ends, and then have like a little Star Wars pin cushion. Is that amazing? But I think for now, I'm going to go with her idea of keeping scraps in it. This will look really nice in my project bag. And yeah, now, could I have sewed these things myself? Absolutely. Do I have Grogu fabric at home? Absolutely. But, like, why buy it when you can just pay somebody else to make it for you? So that's what I did. Look, us crafters need a break too sometimes. But love it, love it, love it. And there was one really interesting thing. So I was looking at the things that she had on her table that she had sewed and stuff like that. And she had quite a few things. So I just wanted to make sure that I had like the right stuff, and I was looking at the right prices and stuff like that. And I'm looking at the prices and I'm like, okay, let me make sure, is this price right with this one? Or, you know, is this bag $10? Is this bag $40? And she told me what the prices were, but then she began to explain to me, well, you know, it's just that it's handmade and it takes a lot of time for me to do it. And I was like, hold up, sis, I got you. I sew, I knit, I crochet. I've sold handmade products in the past. You do not have to explain it to me. I know the hard work and dedication that goes into making things by hand. So I'm like, you don't have to justify the price to me at all. Okay. So, but yeah, so that was, you know, that I had a wonderful conversation with her. And so, yeah, but it was really nice. And they're doing hay rides out here as well. Looks like a lot of fun. It's just a really beautiful day. But it was great to get out of the house for a little bit, and I'll check in with you all a little bit later. Let's talk about some new yarn that I have gotten and the projects that I want to make with them. Okay, so let's see, who will we start with first? All right, let's start with this one here. So this is Hayden DK by Valley Yarns, and this is sold by Webs. It is 60% superwash merino wool and 40% acrylic. Each little ball is 50 grams, and that is 136 yards. And so the colorway is gray, number 6. And so I don't know what it is. I've really been into like the dark grays lately, and yeah, it's a vibe. So I'm really excited about this. And it is actually a DK slash light worsted weight yarn. So before you buy this yarn, if you have a project in mind, you definitely want to check the gauge just to see if it'll work out for you. But it's a beautiful yarn. And it does have a slight sheen to it. And I'm thinking that's the acrylic in the yarn. But it is a beautiful yarn. Okay, so each skein, as I mentioned, has 136 yards. And I actually have 2 projects in mind for this shawl. And so with this yarn, the first pattern that I'm thinking of is the Macaron cardigan. It is a pattern by Espace Tricot. And it's a beautiful, beautiful cardigan. It's kind of got like a cropped fit to it. And I'm looking at the ribbing and I'm not sure. It's like, I think it might be twisted rib. I'm not sure. I'll have to see. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking of making. And also the second pattern is the Anisi tee. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but it is designed by Anne Fiscum-Sund of November Knits. So let me know in the comments below which pattern should I make using this beautiful dark gray yarn. And also with any of these patterns, let me know if you have made them and give me some insight on them. Okay, this yarn is so soft. Wow. And this is my first time ever using this yarn. In fact, this will be my first time using any of these yarns. So that's exciting. All right, so that's that one. And up next we have Drops Baby Merino. And so this is a superwash treated extra fine merino wool. And it's 100% wool. Now the colorway is number 41. Let's see, what color is that? Plum. Yeah. So the thing is, like a lot of these yarns, for whatever reason, the color name is not on the yarn labels, but the yarn number is on the yarn labels. And sometimes that can really get confusing. And so a lot of times when I'm doing these videos, I have to go on the website and look up what the actual color name is. I know, it's confusing. But anyway, this is color number 41, and this is Plum. Okay, so this is, as I mentioned, it's 100% wool, and each ball is 50 grams or 1.8 ounces, and it's 175 meters or 191 yards. And so it's a really fine weight. Like, it's listed as a sport weight yarn, but it almost feels like a fingering weight yarn. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, I've seen some fingering weight yarns that are this thickness. Let's see, I don't have any. I was trying to see if I had any like fingering weight yarn to compare it to. Yeah, here's some. All right. Okay, so I'm looking at this and this. I don't know. It's a little thicker. This is, I can never pronounce this, but it is Shawl yarn. Yeah. It's 100% wool as well. But just looking at these two yarns, I don't know. I mean, they're pretty tit for tat. I don't know. Have you all used Baby Merino? It's listed as a sport weight yarn, but I mean, it kind of looks like a fingering weight yarn. And then I have some Cascade Heritage yarn, and this is a sock yarn, sock versus fingering. And when I look at these two together, I don't know, to me they look like the same thickness. So I'll have to check the gauge on this, but I was really thinking that it would be a little bit thicker, but that comes with the territory when you buy yarn online and not in person in the store. You just never know what you might get. It might look like what you wanted, or it might not look like what you wanted. So that's the gamble that you take. But anyway, let's talk about the pattern that I have in mind for this. And it is the Maggie Cardigan designed by Petite Knit. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to making this. I really like the elbow length sleeves on that cardigan, and I've liked the pattern since since it first came out. And also, if you don't want that kind of sleeve, she does put instructions in the pattern on how to make a longer sleeve. So there's definitely some options there, in regards to what type of sleeve you want to make. Okay, I have one more to share with you all. And so this yarn here is Cascade 220 Superwash Sport. And this is another one of those yarns where it says it's a sport weight yarn, but on the label it has that it is a number 3, which would make it a DK weight yarn. I don't know why yarn labels and yarn gauge has to be so confusing. Like, I don't get it, because this is listed as a sport weight yarn. This is also listed as a sport weight yarn. And I don't know if you all can tell on the camera, but looking at these strands of yarn, like, clearly this is fingering. Clearly this is DK. Neither one of these, in my opinion, is sport weight yarn. But I don't know. I mean, it is what it is, I purchased this yarn at one of my local yarn shops. And so I did get to look at it. And basically I determined that this is a DK weight yarn and I'm going to use it as such. But anyway, it is 100% merino wool. And each skein is 50 grams or 1.7 ounces, 1.75 ounces, 136.5 yards or 125 meters. And the colorway is mulberry purple. Yeah, so that's that. I wanted something purple. Like, I don't have enough purple yarn as it is. But with this skein of yarn, or with these skeins of yarn, I plan on knitting the Summer Softener tee, and it is designed by Samantha Guerin. And so I really like that relaxed fit that this pattern has. And of course, you all know I do love a V-neck as well. So I'm really looking forward to working with these yarns. As I mentioned, this is my first time working with either of these yarns, so that's going to be exciting. Okay, and I also wanted to let you all know about a few upcoming videos that I have. As you all know, I do knit and I crochet, but today we're talking about knitting. And so I have my winter knitting plan video coming up soon. And then, of course, later on, maybe like at the beginning of January, I'll have my everything I knit in 2024. It's just crazy that this year is almost gone. It's been a crazy year. Yeah, it's definitely been a year of learning patience with myself, and yeah, that's for sure. But anyway, so those things are going to be coming out soon. And let's see, I am working on a knitted tee. I just cast that on. It's not much to show right now. It's really bunched up on needles. I'm still working on my M-cowl. That project really isn't like a travel friendly project, but I do want to finish it. And the designer, Stephen West, he emphasized embrace your own pace. And that is what I am doing. Hopefully I will finish that shawl early next year. But I've just been going to a ton of doctor's appointments, and I just really haven't had the time to just sit and work on my M-cowl. But it is a beautiful shawl. I have seen the results of the shawl. I mean, it's been over, but I have seen the finished shawl, and it is stunning. And I do want the shawl, and I do want to finish it. But just with my health issues and things going on right now, it's going to take a little bit longer. And so that's why I've been working on smaller projects. I recently finished a crochet purse that I want to talk about on the channel soon. And like I said, I have casted on a knitted tee. It's a very simple raglan t-shirt that I've cast on. And so hopefully I'll be splitting for the body soon. Yeah, it has a lot of raglan in it. But yeah, I've just been working on simple projects that I can take to the doctor's office and work on them in the waiting room and not have to worry about doing a lot of stitch count and this and that and stitch markers and all that stuff. That's, really what I've been working on. And also, I wanted to say a big thank you to all of those who have been giving me patterns off of my Ravelry wish list. Can't talk today. I will link that below. But yeah, it's awesome, and I'm hoping to be able to use some of these yarns for those projects. And so, thank you all so much for that. I really do appreciate your support. And yeah, so let me know if you are interested in making any of the patterns that I talked about today, or maybe you've already made those patterns. And if you have, let me know what yarn did you use. Let me know what your Ravelry is so I can look up your project notes. And feel free to do the same with me. I will link my Ravelry page below. And if you just want to take a look at my projects and pictures and measurements and yarn that I've used and all that stuff, you can definitely go check out my Ravelry page. All right, y'all, let me know what you worked on while watching, or did you just chill? And definitely leave me a comment below because I love reading you all's comments. In fact, I do need to catch up on some comments. I just really hadn't had the time, but I do read them. And so I need to respond to a few comments. And yeah, if you would like to get a bonus video each month, feel free to click that join button below and check out the different perks that go on with that. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye.